Hey guys, what's up? I know it's been a very long time since I posted a video, but hey, I'm back at it today, and I'm going to go over, it's not so much a tutorial today as it is an overview of a costume that I made last year. And it's actually of the Batman Who Laughs. This is probably one of my most favorite costumes so far. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of go break it down piece by piece and go over kind of how I put everything together and how I put it on. At the end, I'll have the whole thing on so you guys can see how it looks together. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so I'm going to start with the feet. Of course, these are the boots. I got these boots off of Amazon. At the time when I bought them, I think they were like $60 or $70. But I like them because they have the straps to go across them and it kind of fits with the theme. And if you notice, they are very dirty. Now this is I did this on purpose to match with the weathering of the whole suit. And how I did that was I got dirt just out in my yard and I mixed it with Mod Podge. And then I just painted it all over the bottom of the boot. And everywhere dirt would get caught. And if you notice, there's also some red on there. That is actually some fake blood splatter from Spirit Halloween, or from Walmart, I can't remember which. But I just sprayed it on there because, again, it goes with the theme. And then for the pants, I'm using black, kind of slim cut cargo pants. It's got some really slim pockets with zippers here on the sides. And if you notice, these are looking dirty too. I just went over with some brown spray paint, just lightly coated the pants with those to match with the dirtiness of the theme. And yeah, I think I got these from Walmart for like 20 bucks or so. But that's what I use. You could also use just any other kind of black pants that's comfortable. Then up next I have, it's like a fake turtleneck. I got this off Amazon. I think it was like 10 or 15 bucks, if that even. Or you could also, if you have a turtleneck laying around, you could just either wear it or cut the top part off. But it just goes around like that. And what this does is, obviously it covers the neck. And I'll also be wearing a balaclava. And this neck piece also helps to maintain the balaclava and keep it close to my neck. Just like that. And then as you can tell, it kind of keeps everything together. And then up next is this jacket that I heavily modified. So I got this off of Amazon. It was like a $20 or $30 steampunk jacket, I think is what it was called. And it closes here in the front, had some buttons on it. So as you can tell, I cut all that off and I added Velcro right here because it was too loose on me. So I cinched it up and tightened it to where it's more form-fitting. I also, it had a split here in the back, but the Batman Who Laughs has almost like the scallops on the bottom of Batman's cape. So I just got my scissors and cut out some slits or some triangles at the bottom of it, where there's what about 3 3 on each side. And of course the same brown spray paint went along the bottom of it, inside and out, to carry the dirtiness through. And then I added these straps going across, which is all foam. These are 2mm foam. Then these buckles are 5mm foam that I cut out and actually, threaded the 2mm foam through. Same for this side, and these are just hot glued onto the jacket. And then I sewed on some Velcro and then just glued the corresponding piece right there. So that way it has the look of the straps going across. If I were to do this again, there's also Velcro right here to keep the collar piece down in the front, and then a long piece here on the back. Now I had originally hot glued the Velcro on, but I went through and sewed them on so they're more secure. But if I had to do it again, I would actually sew the soft parts of the Velcro onto the jacket and then glue the hook parts or the hard parts of the Velcro onto the foam, because it works out easier that way. So I'll go ahead and put this on. Just shut. Now this is kind of one of the centerpieces of the whole costume. This is 100% foam, and it is all 2mm foam. I chose 2mm foam because it looks most like leather or fabric, so it's thin, and when you heat it, you can also get a pretty good texture on it as well to make it look leathery. Then I added some fake stitching that, I don't know if you noticed or not, it's also the same thing on the helmet as well. Now these are actually not foam. These are some suede string that I've got from Walmart, and these are just super glued in. And these rings here are half round foam dowels that I just rounded over and glued together, and then wrapped these pieces through. And these buttons here are actually the buttons that were on the jacket. They were the buttons that I cut off. So I spray painted them silver and super glued them in place here. And this centerpiece here is all one piece of 2mm foam that I heated and pinched and I glued into place. And in order to keep it in shape, since it is folded over, it naturally would want to spread out. So to keep it in shape like this, I took some more 2mm foam and I glued it here over the shoulders. And that little trick is courtesy of SKS Props. It's what you can use 2mm foam to maintain a curve on foam. So you can use contact cement or super glue, and you just glue down one end and you keep the curve that you want as you lay the foam down, and it's maintained. So I guess put my belly cloth up. I just leave the collar laying down since it's covered, and I have a fake collar here. So let's just slide it over. And then I have Velcro here and corresponding piece here. And that just sits like that. They usually have someone to help me. that lays just like that. This is what we're looking like so far. And believe it or not, this is actually one of my most comfortable cosplays that I have. So next, I will go over the gloves. The gloves are some cheap cotton gloves that I had gotten off Amazon. And what I did was I put them on, and while I had them on, I had painted, dry brushed the knuckles and the other things that make it look like hands. Now these fingernails, what I had originally done was gotten some fake black plastic fingernails and tried hot gluing them on, but the hot glue melted the fingernails and it didn't work. They just got completely deformed and it was horrible. So I had some black hot glue on hand, so I had just put hot glue for the fingernails, and that worked for me. And you could just leave it as is like this, but I felt like the coat was a little too baggy around the sleeves, so I had actually folded it over and sewn it in a little bit so it's a little bit tighter, but it still seemed a bit plain. So again, back to Amazon I went for these cheap fake leather gauntlets. And they're just held together with some laces. Just go on like that. And then I just pull them like such. Pull it like that. And take it and tuck that right there. And that's what I do for the gauntlets. One more thing I did forget to mention about the gauntlets is they do not come this worn and weathered. I had actually taken some very low grit sandpaper and a Dremel and just went to town on these to dirty them up, scratch them up, damage them just as much as I possibly could. And now it's the mask. So one of the most common questions I get is, how do I see out of this thing? Because there are no eye slits anywhere on this middle piece. And the answer is simple. I actually see from underneath, right there. And I do actually have a little slideshow at the end of the video with my process on building this. So it won't be perfect, but it's what I've got. And so for everything on this is 100% foam. I had sculpted the mouth using foam clay. The teeth are 2mm EVA foam. And I got that gloss on there by using 5-minute epoxy and brushing it on there. Once it dried, that was of course after the paint and everything. And the skin texture is thanks to toilet paper and latex. And then of course some white paint as well. The texture on the visor is from Flex Seal. Flex Seal is much thicker than Plastidip. It goes on with a wonderful texture and dries that way as well. And of course there are many details, many layers of paint on this with black wash and brown wash, and also added some rust effects in there using some cinnamon and some craft paint. All of the foam spikes are foam clay that I had formed into these cones, and then I contact cemented them on and then went around the base of them with hot glue to make it look as though they were welded on there. And then you'll notice that some of these, the tips are actually broken off, and that's actually not on purpose. That was from the first con that I wore it to. The tips just kind of kept breaking off because I didn't use a good foam clay for these. I used the dollar store stuff, which dries very stiff, but there's no flexibility to it. So when it dries and you hit a tip of it, it will break off. But I decided to leave it that way because to me it does add to the battle damage of it. Here on these stitchings on the top of the helmet is 2mm foam just glued into place and more weathering all around it. Again, if I would go back and do this again, I would actually put a little slit in there and tuck the stitching into the slit so it would look more realistic rather than just being glued on top. But you know, it worked for what I needed. The base of the helmet here is 2mm foam, and then the ears here and the visor is 5mm foam. And then I also made the Batman mask around the mouthpiece with 2mm foam as well. So here I'll go ahead and put this on so you guys can see what it looks like. And here you can see it all together. And then here you can also see how I can see out of this. My vision is actually pretty good in this. I just have to kind of look up to be able to see. If I'm looking down, my vision stops right about here. So I can see from here down. So I can see where I'm walking with no issues. And something else I've done was I added a little prop to it. It's a cheap Walmart skull. More 2mm craft foam. And of course a bunch of black wash to make it look dirty, and some string so I can carry it around. And of course the weapon. This is a scythe from Spirit of Halloween that I have repainted and wrapped some fake leather on the handle and added a chain to, because it seems like it goes with the theme of the build. Now I'll kind of back up so you guys can see the whole thing together. Alright guys, that does it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment, like below, subscribe, you know, do all the YouTube stuff. And, you know, be on the lookout for this guy at some upcoming cons. If you're in Oklahoma or Arkansas and you see me, don't be afraid to stop by and say hi. So thank you guys again so much for watching. You guys have a great one and God bless.